One of the most expensive lies in personal finance has 4 words. Good debt, bad debt. It cost one man $139,000 while he was busy being responsible. And if you have ever carried a credit card balance while putting money into investments at the same time, there is a decent chance it is costing you too. Connor did exactly that for 5 years. He was disciplined, he was responsible, he never missed a single payment in his life. 18 years later, Tyler, same salary, same city, same starting point, was $139,000 ahead of him. One of them understood something about debt that most people never figure out. The other one never checked the number. By the end of this video, you will know what that number is and how to run it on every loan you carry. This is the Ben Factor. Connor and Tyler graduated the same year, Columbus, Ohio. Both landed IT support jobs at a mid-sized company. $58,000 a year to start. Not rich, not broke. The kind of start that feels like solid ground. For the first 2 years, their lives were nearly identical on paper. Same rent, same car payment, same student loan going out every month. The only thing that separated them was $7,400 on a credit card. Connor had it. Tyler had it too, briefly. What each of them believed about that balance is the entire story. Connor considered himself good with money. Not rich, but responsible. He budgeted. He paid his bills the day they arrived. He had never, not once, missed a payment in his life. He was the kind of person who quietly judged people who let things slide. He had his finances under control. That $7,400 on his card? Manageable. He put $210 toward it every month, without fail, on time, every time. His card charged 22.4%, close to the national average for balances that actually get carried. On $7,400, that came to $138 in interest every single month. Not reducing what he owed, just the cost of keeping the balance open. Here's what that cost him over 5 years. Think of it as a subscription, $138 a month, automatically renewed, and at the end of the month, you have nothing to show for it. Connor paid $210 a month. But at $210, most of what he sent went straight to interest. The actual balance moved the way it was designed to, slowly. It took him 58 months to clear it, nearly 5 years. Total interest paid, $4,776. He handed the bank $12,176 to retire a $7,400 debt. And because no single month felt like an emergency, no missed payment, no collections call, nothing that triggered an alarm, he never treated it like one. It just sat there, patient, expensive, invisible. Because it never arrived as a crisis. It arrived as a monthly line item he had learned to live with. The subscription just kept renewing. But then something strange happened. Connor was not irresponsible. He was not reckless. He was not overspending. He did everything the framework told him to do. So why did he still lose nearly $5,000? The framework he had been handed said there is good debt and there is bad debt. Good debt is a mortgage, a student loan, anything that builds equity or earns you more over time. This debt is not just acceptable. The wealthy use it on purpose. Bad debt is a credit card, anything that finances a lifestyle instead of an asset. Get rid of it eventually, but it is not an emergency. Pay it down, be responsible, you are fine. Connor had bad debt. He knew it. He was handling it responsibly, the way the framework said to. The framework never asks about the one number that actually matters. And the people who built it were not in a hurry to add it. Neither was the credit card company. Their business model depends on Connor not knowing. Tyler did not have a framework. He had one number. Tyler had the same $7,400. Same rate, same year. He looked at that 22.4% and asked one question. Is there any investment available to me, legal, reliable, essentially risk-free, that pays 22.4% tax-free? He actually looked. The best savings account paid around 4%. A market index fund had returned roughly 10% historically, with real volatility and a tax bill on the gains. There was nothing at 22.4%. There never is at that rate for a regular person, except the balance on his statement. Tyler stopped investing temporarily, cut everything that was not rent, food, or gas, put $800 a month toward the card. 11 months later, it was gone. Total interest paid, $800, against the $4,776 Connor would eventually pay on the exact same starting balance. His friends thought he was being intense. Tyler thought he was buying the highest returning, lowest risk investment he would ever have access to. He was right. Here is what Tyler understood that Connor never did. A debt makes you richer or poorer based on one comparison only, the rate you are paying, against the return you could earn on that same money somewhere else. Not the category, not what you bought, the rate you pay against the rate you could earn. So ask yourself the same question Tyler asked. What is the interest rate on every debt you are carrying right now? And have you ever compared it to what that same money could be earning somewhere else? Most people have not. Connor never had. If the debt costs more than your money can earn, paying it off is not just clearing a bill. It is a return, guaranteed, tax-free, at the exact rate of that debt. The stock market averages 10%. A credit card at 22% is paying you 22%. There is no contest. If the debt is cheaper than what your money earns, keep it on schedule and invest the difference. Borrow cheap, earn more. The gap builds while you keep doing exactly what you are already doing. As a rule of thumb, above roughly 8%, attack the debt. Below roughly 6% on a fixed rate, invest the difference. Between 6 and 8% is a gray zone. The answer depends on your taxes, your risk tolerance, and whether the rate is fixed. Connor's card was at 22.4%. There was no gray zone. There was no decision to make. One thing makes every rate on that list more urgent than it looks. When you earn 10% investing, the government takes a cut. When you pay off a debt, you keep the full return, removing an expense, not earning income. Most people spend their lives looking for the best investment. It was on their credit card statement the whole time. The month after Tyler cleared his card, he put $500 a month into a simple index fund. No stock picking, no research, just $500 every month, compounding at a historical average of roughly 10% annually. Connor started the same investment, same $500, same fund, 58 months later. After the card was finally gone. Same amount, same return, different start date. At year 10, Tyler had built approximately $103,000. Connor had built approximately $41,000. At year 18, Tyler was at approximately $303,000. Connor at approximately $164,000. The gap, $139,000. That is a house down payment. That is 3 years of retirement contributions. That is the difference between retiring at 59 and retiring at 62. For a decision that took Tyler 11 months to execute and never required a higher salary, a second job, or a single investment he did not already understand. Not from earning more, not from a smarter strategy, from one number, checked once. In a moment, I will show you the exact list Tyler built that night. Here is what Tyler did the night he made his decision. Pull up every debt you carry. Write the interest rate next to each one. Rank them highest to lowest. Attack from the top until you drop below the line. Then stop and start investing. A credit card above 20%, the highest guaranteed return available to you. An emergency. A personal loan around 11 or 12%, above the line, next in queue. A car loan near 8 or 9%, above the line. Accelerate it once the higher rate debt is gone. How many of your loans have you actually ranked this way? A student loan around 6 or 7%, gray zone. Keep paying and invest alongside it. A fixed mortgage at 6 to 7%, gray zone, leaning toward keep. Not a clear call, and anyone who tells you it is has not actually run the number. One rule overrides everything. If your employer matches retirement contributions, take that match first. A 50% match beats the credit card. After the match, the list decides. Debt is not good or bad. It never was. It is a rate measured against an alternative. When the rate you pay is higher than the return you can earn, the debt wins, quietly, every month, in a way that never arrives as a single crisis. It arrives as 5 years of minimum payments, a balance that barely moves, a feeling that you are doing everything right and still not getting anywhere. Connor was doing everything right. He considered himself one of the responsible ones. He just never knew the real return was printed on his credit card statement. This is the bin factor.